Some of you recognize these faces. These are the people who were part of the US team that participated 6 years ago at the Olympics in Athens. The US team, 6 years ago. As a matter of fact, Carmelo Anthony, the guy at the bottom in the middle of the screen there, actually said, just a few days before the Olympics, he said, "We're guaranteeing a gold medal. We're bringing it back." And yet 30 days later, when the Olympic torch was extinguished in Athens, his words hung over there like a bad odor. Why? It wasn't just a 20-year-old professional basketball player's indiscretion. What it was the performance of the team. In the 8 games that they played, they won 5 and they lost 3, and they finished with a disappointing bronze medal. Now, just to put that in perspective, because where US basketball, which I am an enormous fan of, by the way, but just to put in perspective, where US basketball stands is that those 3 losses were more than the total number of losses that the US team had sustained in their entire history of participating in the prior 14 Olympics. They had won 12 out of the last 14 gold medals. And yet they came in over here, they lost 3 games. They lost to Puerto Rico 92-73, for crying out loud. And then they lost to Argentina and then to Lithuania. People don't even know where Lithuania is. They don't even know what is Lithuania. And yet, the mighty US team lost to Lithuania and Puerto Rico. And they went back and they said, what went wrong? What was going on? Each of these people was a star in his own right. They played at the NBA. They were doing all sorts of theatrics and tricks and so on. But what they didn't know was how to work as a team and come together. Their coaches scripted the plays for them, but each one was off cue a little bit. They weren't really playing for the team. They were playing for themselves. And the results, relative to the expectations, were completely disastrous. And this is something where you saw teamwork didn't happen. Everybody was a superstar, and the result was failure. But the opposite can happen as well. There are instances where people can become too team-oriented. And when you get too team-oriented and the only thing you get rewarded for is the collective good, then people don't have the creativity, they don't have the inherent drive to succeed. Groupthink starts to prevail. So you have to figure out a way to actually do, McCann Erickson is a company that's an advertising company. Dan Whedon and David Kennedy were 2 guys who were young, brash advertising executives who were absolutely brilliant. And they were at McCann Erickson, and they were frustrated by the fact that everything was slow-moving and everything had to be done in a team manner and so on. And so eventually their frustration, they wanted to work with the teams, but somehow everything was done in such a manner that the team and superstar blend didn't gel at McCann Erickson. So they packed their bags and left, and they got together with a scrappy, up-and-coming company out of Oregon that also wanted to establish a name for itself. And that was Nike. And a few days after they landed up over there, Dan Whedon came up with the famous "just do it" thing. And that's what helped Nike get to very good places. McCann Erickson another example. You guys probably have cars which have GPS, and in those GPS systems that you have in the cars, you've got this navigation device. Either it's built in or you buy it at the store. Usually it's a Garmin. I think Garmin is the world's largest producer of those little devices that tell you when to turn left and when to turn right and so on. The Gar in Garmin is the first 3 letters of Gary Bunnell's name, and the Min is the first 3 letters of Min Kao's name. They were both working at Allied Corporation, and they came up with great ideas, but they never felt that their ideas got the leverage of bigger teams, and they never felt supported. So they left, and they created Garmin, which is now the world's biggest producer of navigation devices. So you can have both things happen. You can have too much individual stuff has happened with the US team and not enough teamwork, or you could have too much teamwork without the recognition of the contributions of the superstars. Both can happen. And this is something that's hard to manage. When you got someone like Michael Phelps on your team, you got to leverage that. They can provide the energy, they can provide the spark, they can really get the team going. But you have to keep a dynamic whereby the other team members can also do it, because it's really important for everybody to win. and to win together. And when that happens, it's really magic. It really, really works very well.